Well, tonight you are going to get the chance to go through the town of Bethlehem a little bit like it might have been like when Jesus was born. You're not going to find a king in this town, but there was a king in the land. His name was Herod. The reason you won't find him in Bethlehem is Bethlehem's too little. He's 6 miles north in Jerusalem. But if you ask the people, you say, "Tell me about your king," they might say, "Herod? Oh, he's not a good man. He's a bad man." They don't like King Herod. King Herod built the temple, and you'd say, "Wow, I bet he loves God. He's a good man." But he also built temples for lots of idols. So you'd say, "I don't think Herod loves God. I think he's up to something else. He wants the people to love him." There's another king over that king. His name is Caesar Augustus. He's in Rome. And if you ask the people and you said, "Do you like Caesar?" they'd say, "No, we don't like Caesar. He has Roman soldiers in our land. They're the ones who tax us. We wish they were gone." So they have two kings that they say, "We don't like those kings, Herod, and they have Caesar." And if you ask most of the people in the town, they're probably going to be like people around here. They'd say, "We don't really think things will ever change. It'll always be like this, and we're just trying to make it through our day." Herod has been on the throne for decades, and so they don't see that changing. And then when he's done, they know that probably one of his sons or somebody else, the same thing will happen. So they don't see this changing, but there's a group of people in Bethlehem who are waiting for a third king. You say, "Well, what are you waiting for?" "Well, this king is good. He comes from God. This one always does the right thing. This one, his kingdom, it won't just last decades. It'll go on forever and ever and ever and ever. We're waiting for that king." And you might say, "Well, come on, did you invent this king?" They'd say, "No, we didn't invent that king. The prophets, the ones who God talks to, they told us about this king, and they wrote down all about the king in the scriptures." So, for instance, the prophet Moses wrote about this king, and he said, "He will be like, for the enemies of God, he will be like a lion." He actually said his hand will be on the neck of his enemies. And he said, "But God's people, they will love him and honor him and worship him." So you have a king that people aren't trying to run away from. They actually like the king, and they're glad he's ruling over them. God's people are. Another one, this was the prophet Nathan. He said this: God would love this king as a son, and he would never remove his love from this king. And he said, his throne will last forever and ever and ever. And wouldn't you want that? If you had a perfect king, how long do you want him to reign? I want him to stay on the throne. Well, how long? Well, keep him on forever. Well, that's what the prophet said his reign will be like. Another prophet, David, who was also a king, he said this. He said, the nations will hate this king. And they'll say, "We don't want him as our king. We'll pick our own king." But God will laugh and say, "That's my king. I put him in place." And this prophet David said, "Be wise. Serve this king and bow down to him, because if you don't, he'll break you. But if you come to him and love him, he'll bless you." So the people in Bethlehem, some of them at least, are waiting for this king. And they say, "We can't wait till he comes." The prophet Isaiah said this, and you probably have heard this in a song before. Say, "His name will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and of peace there will be no end." Meaning, he'll just get more and more and more territory all the time, and he'll be doing good all the time. He'll counsel people in a wonderful way. He'll be like a good father to people. That's what this king will be like. Isaiah said this too. He said, he calls him the servant of the Lord here. He said, this king will be so great, he will take the sins of God's people and he'll die for them. And then Micah said this. Micah said, and he actually addressed his words to Bethlehem. He said, "Bethlehem, you're the smallest, but from you a king is going to come. And his origins are from a long time ago." So he's coming, but he's from a long time ago. So if you ask people in Bethlehem, you said, "Tell me about your king." Some of the people would say, "Oh, I hate my king. He pretends to love God. He built this temple, but he doesn't care about God." And another one would say, "Oh, I don't like my king. He's in Rome. He takes all our money all the time." But there's a third group of people. It's probably a small group. They say, "I love my king." You say, "Well, where is he?" And they'd say, "We don't know yet. He hasn't come. But I know he's coming because the prophet said it." What's he going to be like? He'll be good and true and right, and he'll rule forever and ever and ever and ever. And that's why we're doing this, is because he actually has come, and the words of the prophet are true. So thank you for coming. It's our joy and privilege to serve you by putting this on, that you can go to Bethlehem and you can consider this third king, who really is the first king.
Welcome to Bethlehem. Welcome to our baking. We have the best breads and cheeses.
You paid your taxes this season.
Bread with honey. Try some hummus. We have wonderful cheeses.
Shalom. Welcome to Bethlehem. How was your travels been?
Hi, welcome to our inn. We have lentil stew and fresh bread tonight. We're going to rocks for 4, or you can also make your own necklace for 3 coins. Get in the zone.
Leather goods. Leather goods.
You'll be a beggar.
Leather goods.
I'm gonna be a beggar?
Leather goods.
I own this.
Yes, we wanted to tell you. We're so sorry. But you can clearly see our inn is quite full.
Hammer for sale.
Do you want to buy Riri?
We are making shawls or head coverings, as you can see. Tight weave, so it'll be very warm in the winter.
You guys saved any of your coins? We do have blacksmith here too.
Welcome, welcome. Welcome to Bethlehem. We've got some sheep over here and goats.
Would you like to buy a sheep?
Fear not, behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be for all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. You shall find a babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger.
Angels saying that the Savior was born in Bethlehem?
Here, in our manger.
Oh, in the manger, by the star!
Yes, the star that showed up a few days ago.
Oh, we gotta go see what this is about.
Let's go.
Come on, let's go see what this is.
The newborn king.
We all have that spirit in us. We want to have that spirit of Christmas in us because we know it's a true story. I did when I was young, like you. And then as I got older, I started to turn away from that. And, it's a sad. It's a sad time of my life. So I felt sorry for myself. What I didn't understand is Jesus was always there. Even though I walked away from him, he followed me. When I closed the doors and locked him out of my house, he was standing outside, waiting for me to invite him back in. And so it's a joyful thing to know that we have a king. His name is Jesus. It's so faithful to us that no matter how much we don't love him, he still loves us. We want to comfort him, and the only way we can do that is to honor him, honor his birth. This is a real true story. This is not a make-up story. What you saw here tonight, all of the people trying to celebrate this, it really was that way. It was young people like you and older people and moms and dads, and they welcomed Jesus into that world. And he's still here. So for me, I had to get quite old before I understood that. And I'm much older than you now. I'm older than your grandparents. So, and I wanted him to come back into my life. I need a purpose. I need to know he loves me, and I need to tell him I love him too. So, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Christmas.